Okay, hopefully we're live again. Okay, hopefully we're live again. I hadn't realized we were off for so long. I had walked out to the pond and everything. You know, if you guys find that we go offline, you know, give it a minute or two, but if it's not after a couple minutes, please text me because, you know, I don't want to go too long. But I think we're back up and running. It's been one technical issue after another today, and we only have so much time. Please give me a moment. I'm still getting set. And I took the time to look at the pond and everything. Saw some mallards, saw some other things. Like I said, I hadn't realized we were off for so long. Generally, you know, it's one thing if there's a glitch and we go offline for just a minute or two, but if it's several minutes, then there's usually a problem. Okay, let me just get my gloves back on because my hands are freezing. Alright, so I'm sorry, but you've missed a fair amount. I don't want to walk back for time purposes, but we're here on the Podell Boardwalk here at Sapsucker Woods. So I've seen, since I arrived here, some mallards. I'd say probably at least 6. A couple northern cardinals, a couple chickadees, and a couple red squirrels, and a downy woodpecker. Oh, and 3 dark-eyed juncos. I hate to say it, but I mean, so far, between the technical issues, the lack of birds, and everything, this has been one of the, could say it's one of the worst tours we've had, in some ways. Although we saw some things in Montezuma, but I wish we had seen a lot more. Hello. Not that I had believed that they migrate. I don't believe that they migrate, but I had heard that there had been some barred owls around, at least one. Would love to see one. I don't believe I've ever seen one in the colder months. I'm not saying they're not around again, but I just never get to see them. There's really one time a year, it's really spring, that I get to see them, and somehow I don't get to see them the rest of the year. Could be just my timing and the way things work. Pure luck. The lab is closed, and I don't know if they open up on Wednesday. I think they might open on Wednesday. But remember that tree that we saw falling over on the trails? Well, here it is. I wonder if it fell right from there. I guess so. It was more difficult to get through there last week, but I think that maybe because some branches were being weighed down by snow, and actually that was the case in many locations last week. This week is obviously a lot different. Little bit of crunchiness to these leaves, and I think it's not because of their own crunchiness that they might have in the in the fall, but because they've they've been soaked, and now that water is freezing. In terms of birds, it's very quiet. I'm not hearing anything. Again, this time of year, you don't normally hear a lot of singing anyway. I'm sorry you missed, not that there's a lot of excitement, but I'm sorry you apparently missed what we saw or what I saw near the lab, but I told you about it. And the pond is in many ways like last week. The pond itself, there are some fairly large areas that are free of ice, but some are still covered. Fingers, some of them are freezing because of the technical issue that we had, and I had to take off my gloves. Now they're struggling to get warm again. Another thing about last week compared to today Or at least I just noticed it. Last week was quiet in terms of road noise and airport noise. Today there's a fair amount of road noise, I'd say, or that might be airplane noise. I don't know, but it was nice and quiet here last week. The thing was about last week, even though there was snow on the ground, it was easy to walk on and it wasn't noisy. You know, I mean, it made some noise, but on a relative basis, it was quiet. Oh, I just saw somebody. Oh, come back here. Somebody just flew over there and out of view. A smaller bird, maybe a sparrow, but I didn't get to see it. Let me look with binoculars. Maybe I'll get a glimpse. No, I don't see anybody over there within view. I'm hearing some sound, though, every once in a while. Okay. I heard it again. There may be even less snow now, or less ice, I should say, on the pond than there was last week, but last week was really much more beautiful, I have to say. At least to me. But I am not seeing any birds, and since there's nothing else really worth looking at, we're going to move on. Hearing a vocalization every once in a while. Just heard something. Made me stop. Have to be concerned. You know, there's always a chance that if I'm hearing a faint a faint sound that sounds to me like a vocalization, there's always a chance that it's actually, you know, my clothing or gear making that noise, and that's all I'm hearing. Sometimes I feel the need to stop so that I can maybe see if I can hear that sound again. you can see, not much going on. Let me look with binoculars. At least last week we had seen some Canada geese also, but no geese today that I've seen so far. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything really, so let's keep going. I wonder if it is my clothing that's making the noise. It might be. Occasional sound I'm hearing. I think it is. Well, at least I know this. I'm not hearing a bird and failing to see it. It can be hard for me to hear if I'm wearing a hat or other sounds that I have to deal with, like the road noise right now. Say the trails really aren't their best right now because they are covered with, you know, in a lot of places, not so much here, but a lot of wet leaves, some muddiness. Just heard a mallard. A female. The males don't do that apparently. Hold on a second, what's that? Okay. Well, that's interesting. What's going on here? I hear geese. Hi geese, welcome. Hi gooses. Good to see you. We're not going to be staying here and waiting for more geese, but it's nice to see them. And who knows, there may be more on the way. But let's, we have to keep walking. I'd like to go to the campus, like I said, and I don't even know if we'll, well, I was going to say, I don't know if we'll go back to the water, you know, once near the lab, but maybe we will because you missed it. That view that we get from, you know, that viewing area near the lab really is one of my favorites, and it's the kind of thing that can make me come back, you know, keep coming back to Sapsucker Woods. From that view, I've had some nice, you know, inspiration over the years, whether it was the great blue herons nesting or belted kingfishers here. A lot of birds over, well, a number of birds over the years have led me to coming here as often as I do. Like I said, the you know, great blue herons and the belted kingfishers, but also, you know, I've had nice red-tailed hawk sightings in the woods. I think we're going to skip the fuller wetlands just for time purposes. It does look like it's pretty well covered with ice anyway, so we'll keep going. Doesn't mean we wouldn't see anything there, but in terms of likelihood, I'm betting against seeing anything special. You know, I think we will skip going back to the water. Sorry about that, but I want as much time on the campus as possible. So I think we are going to skip. My apologies for the technical issues today. I'll get you back in the car. I've got to deal with a couple things before we can get going, and then we'll get going as quickly as possible. Fingers are thoroughly frozen. say, I'll be with you as soon as I can. Turn up the fan in a moment to warm my fingers. Challenging day, to be sure. Going forward, I know I've been saying, okay, this is likely our last visit to Montezuma for the year. Well, obviously for the by the calendar, yes, this is our last visit to Montezuma, given that today's the 29th. And unless there's an extra tour, and that's doubtful, tomorrow or Monday, that's it. But what I mean is, for the season, I don't know if I'll be going back to Montezuma again, unless, again, the weather would have to be really good, and I'd have to receive word of some very interesting sighting or something. Then I might consider. Otherwise, I think that's it for Montezuma for the year. I don't know how much more. I'm sure things will freeze over more up there than they were today. And, most of the birds have left, in terms of migration. They're already out of there. Obviously, we saw the common mergansers today. And then there were other things to see, like the kestrels and the bald eagles. And I have to say, I love seeing the kestrels and bald eagles. But I don't know if, it's worth the extra time and driving, given the short days. It'll be a while before, the days, which are now getting longer, are going to really be appreciably longer. So, we still have short days, obviously. So, what we're more likely to do is, stay in the Ithaca area, maybe go to some other locations within the Ithaca area that we, don't generally visit in the spring and summer and fall. For instance, of a snowy owl or something, maybe we'll try to go see it if it's within reasonable distance. So stuff like that is definitely possible. Of course, we have our usual places that we visit, including the campus, including Sapsucker Woods, including I know some may not like it, but it can be interesting. The pheasant farm. I like the pheasant farm for a couple reasons. I like to see the hawks. Now, some people may not like seeing the hawks go in and, dealing with pheasants, but quite honestly, in terms of seeing that actually happen, we've only seen that once. We've seen hawks eating, pheasants, but we've only seen one actual strike. But I like seeing, just the interactions. I like seeing, very often there's an opportunity to see hawks in flight. You see other birds there too sometimes, like, maybe turkey vultures, or a Cooper's hawk, or a merlin. We've even seen an eagle or two there. Although that was more, that was unusual. That was, well, I don't know for certain. It may have been because of a particularly cold stretch in the winter that year. And that seemed to be encouraging the eagles to, go away from Cayuga Lake, for instance, and other areas, and head to, wherever they had to find food, including the pheasant farm. Getting dark in a hurry. It's been a gray day, really all day. I think I saw maybe half to 3/4 of a glimmer of sunshine this morning. For about 1 minute before I left home. See a fair number of Canada geese in the air. I wonder if they're headed towards Beebe Lake. I'll bet they are. Maybe not, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have any luck finding our beautiful hawks on the campus, but we're going to give it a try. Even if we find them, might not be easy to really see them well because of how dark it is, but we're going to do our best. I don't know, again, saying what I did last week, I don't know if every building is closed, but the campus is essentially closed. I don't believe you could even, like if you were a student living in the dorms, one of the dorms, I don't believe you'd even be allowed to stay. I think you had to be out after a certain amount of time. Everything had to be shut off. I mean, if you had like a refrigerator or something, it would have to be shut off. I think I see a fair number of geese on Beebe Lake, so it could be that the geese did land there. Obviously, they don't close all the roads on the campus. They just, close the buildings. Oh, so maybe we make the light. I have a feeling it would be not a huge undertaking, but a fair undertaking to close all the roads, all the access roads to the campus. But I'm sure there are reasons to keep things open anyway, so. Come on, light, let's go. We're waiting. At least my hands are warm again. I don't know if the like for instance, if the library's open at all, they might be, limited hours. Wouldn't surprise me, and I don't know if, for instance, there are graduate students around. Maybe they can't live in dorms, but they're living in apartments or wherever, and maybe they need access to libraries. And again, you wonder. I don't know how important the libraries are these days. The libraries themselves. I'm not saying information isn't important. I'm just wondering how important the libraries are as repositories of information, given, online access to so much information. You wonder. See anyone on the throne. Not that I was necessarily expecting to, but it's obviously pretty dark, and maybe our chances of seeing anybody are pretty poor. More Canada geese in the air, and generally in formation, and yeah, they're flying south. Not very high, but they're flying south. Or they're headed south. I don't know if they're actually leaving the area or if maybe they're just, I don't know. I think we're gonna start by looking where we saw Big Red and Arthur last week. More geese overhead. See anybody. Where we had seen them last week was up on top of the vet school. And not that I was expecting them to have remained there since last week. Not crazy. But there's always the potential that it's part of a pattern. And maybe they'd be there again, you know, this week, that's all. Later in the day. I said, it's awfully dark and it's getting dark in a hurry. Turn in here and take a look around. It's 31 degrees, by the way, according to my car's thermometer. In case you were wondering. Quite warm here in the car. weeks ago when we saw Big Red and Arthur on the other side of the central heating plant. To me, it just seemed like the kind of place they would go, you know, in the spring and early summer. Not that they couldn't go there at other times, but just the vague general idea. But I was wrong. Or something. Lack of vehicular and pedestrian traffic here on the campus really is quite nice, I have to say. It's just easier to get around. Just have a quick look up at Sage Hall. I don't see anybody up there. I have to admit, I'm betting against us finding anybody, but there's always a chance. We're doing my best. As it is, the sky itself still has, you know, still is a bit light. So, you know, if you think, well, how can you possibly see? Well, I can see silhouettes, for instance. So if I happen to spot, you know, a silhouette on top of the building, there's a chance that, you know, I'll see somebody. Pigeons, a lot of pigeons in the air right now, and crows too. Yeah, crows too. Unless they're all crows. Yeah, they may be all crows. I think they're all crows. Oh, come on, don't do that. Okay. A lot of crows at one point last week also. Just look at one spot while we're here. Okay. Good chance we're not going to see anybody, as I said before. Rather unfortunate, I must say. But I guess it's just been one of those days. Drive by here, we're passing the synchrotron building, and I'm just reminded of all that we saw this past spring and early summer with the juvenile hawks. I have to say I had a lot of fun during those weeks after the fledging. Keep up with the hawks as best we could, seeing a lot of interesting behavior, a lot of interesting activity. Loved it. Really loved it. To me, those extra broadcasts are, kind of special. They're kind of hard to deal with in terms of time. I've got to sneak away, so to speak, and pick up gear, hopefully have everything that I need, and then hurry here to the campus. And then hope I find everybody on the campus. Now, in the early days, it's relatively easy because they stay, relatively close to the nest. But then once they start, expanding their range, it gets more and more difficult. But as I've mentioned before, just like, when they're up in the area around Bradfield and Furno and Rice Hall, and just in the general area there, it's not, in the evenings during the summer, late spring and summer and early summer, it's not the most highly trafficked area of the campus, and it gives me the feeling it's like, okay, it's just me and the hawks, and of course anyone who's tuned in. Sometimes it's just me, the hawks, whoever's tuned in, and a few mosquitoes, but it's usually not too bad. Everybody, I think we are out of time, just about, and out of birds. It's kind of like we've been out of birds all day. Luck here on the campus, and I'm still looking, but I don't know if I'm going to find anybody. Not at this late hour. Out of curiosity, we'll turn and... Oh, you know what? Let's go one more place. Might not be able to see anything. We haven't driven to look at Clark Hall yet, for instance. Maybe I should have gone there first. I don't know. I can see the corner where I have seen them before, and I'm not seeing anybody. I don't know if that's a place where they would stay the night, but it's as good a place to look as any, really, at this point. Check. Canada geese flying overhead. Well, it looks like we are out of birds. It's almost out of light. Can't see anyone on Space Sciences either. I think it's time we called it a day and begun hoping. It's time for us to begin hoping to see more birds in the new year. Okay, everybody, I think I am going to pack up and head home. I'll say this, you know, I've always enjoyed trying to see the birds, so I'm appreciative of that. And I think I just received a text or something, so let me see what my thing just read. It didn't. Oh, that's different. Okay, everybody, I think we are calling it a night. I want to thank you for tuning in and enduring all the issues I had today. I don't know if I could have prevented them. But who knows? Anyway, I, again, wish you all well. I want to wish you all a very happy New Year. And I wish you many, many birds in the new year. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Bye-bye.